Yeah.
Wow. This is heavy, yo. I mean,
But just to set the stage of what we're talking about tonight, because you might have a little bit of bias, because I know you think he's wonderful, and I'm just an observer here, and I think he's wonderful. So, so Christopher Williams, who is sitting to my right, not the rapper, is the founder not the singer, sorry, is the founder of Heart, Body, and Soul. And he's going to tell us about that tonight. And he's also going to tell us about the Black Man's Health Festival, which is taking place in June of 2022 this year. He is an associate publisher of the illustrious WhereItzAt magazine, which we know here at the show. And he's got over 25. And I know he looks young, except for a little bit of gray in his beard. He looks very young to have 25 years of experience in broadcasting, but he does indeed have that and more. He's done so many things. He began his career as a radio engineer alongside this man who's sitting to my left, his dad. And he started his own corporate career at Salomon Smith Barney in equity research. And also, I didn't know you worked for S&P, Standard & Poor's, Blackstone Group LP, and he's currently with the state of New York. He's doing so many things, and then he does these other things. He's a true Jamaican, I'm sorry. Christopher continues to provide expertise in the areas of media and event production via Rockstone Media Group, which is his baby. Yeah. In doing so, he and his team have created and consulted with various health-related campaigns. And so he's going to take that health-related campaign experience that he has, and his experience in event planning and his corporate experience and his experience in management and finance, and put it all together into Heart, Body, and Soul. So he's going to tell us a little bit about that today. Good evening, Chris Williams.
Good evening, Gail. I think I'm hiring you to be my publicist going forward. I mean, you
know what I
make me
say?
sound so illustrious.
As long as you can meet my quote, I'm there. It's like literally.
I mean, I can always feed you.
Love it. And we're going to talk a little bit about food tonight too, so I'm excited about that.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you did that because I'm here wondering who the heck you're talking about.
Oh, you didn't know. You didn't know. Right.
And there's more. We're going to find out a little bit more tonight, too. But Chris, tell us about Heart, Body, and Soul. Well, but even before we get there, because that's exciting.
Right.
We want to take a few steps back because you are going to do a health festival, the Black Man's Health Festival in June of 2022.
Right.
So you are not a doctor.
No.
You don't play one on TV or on IG Live.
No.
Okay. So I'm wondering why you would be propagating a Black Man's Health Festival. Tell us why.
So I'm here today to really talk about health, right? And my journey in health, or my encounters or challenges with health started in 2015. So in October 2015, I had my first serious situation. I had a heart attack.
And how old were you?
I was 42. I was 42. Yeah, I'm more than happy to share my age. I was 42.
So that we're not thinking about heart problems at 42.
No, absolutely not. And at that time, I was in pretty good shape, Gail. I mean, I had gone through a period where I'd gained quite a bit of weight.
As we all have during the pandemic even, right?
Yeah, definitely. But also, I developed bad eating habits, right? I was eating late and so forth. So I realized that I had to curb this. I had to stop this.
After the heart attack?
No, before. This is before the heart attack. So I was doing everything possible to ensure I was in good shape. I was working out frequently, 4 or 5 days a week in the gym, and eating right. All the necessary things, all the good things, right? So I reduced. I would say I was down to probably about, at the time it happened, probably about 180, 178, 180.
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'6".
Okay.
But that was more
Muscle.
lean. Exactly. And out of nowhere.
So you're not looking like a heart attack candidate.
No, out of nowhere. And that's the thing. We think a heart attack candidate is supposed to look a certain way.
Right.
Okay. It's dependent on the things we've been putting into our body and the plaque buildup in the coronary arteries and all that good stuff, right? Or bad stuff, rather. So now, had the heart attack, was eye-opening, did everything I needed to do to make sure that didn't happen again, but it was still a frightening period.
Very scary.
I would have to say for about a year, I was back and forth in terms of being in a bit of a funk. You know, I don't like to use the word depression because I feel like what I encountered, while it did have me in a state where I went through those ups and downs, those highs and lows. I don't think I was truly depressed,
Right.
but I was there. I was close.
It's a major setback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you're being told how to do certain things, when to do certain things. And I had to go through all this monitoring, you know. So was fine. 2015 had that. 2016, 2017, much better.
At this point, are you going to the doctor regularly?
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you doing
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
those
I'm doing
things?
all those
You're
things.
maintaining all of that.
Maintaining all of that. Going to the doctor. I'm seeing my cardiologist now because now I have a specialist. So I'm seeing my cardiologist, I would say at least 2 times a year.
Okay.
At least. And
Stress tests, everything. You're
getting
good.
Everything.
Okay.
Right? So now fast forward 2021, and I am experiencing some abdominal pains in September, and around about mid-September of 2021. And those pains, I didn't know what they were coming from.
And this is in the middle of the pandemic.
Yep, middle
Yeah?
of the pandemic. I figured maybe I ate something because at first I was feeling nauseous, and then I started getting the abdominal pains. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is. Let me monitor it.
Maybe an allergy.
Right. So the next day it worsened.
Okay.
So I decided, you know, I'm going to go to the hospital. So I go to the emergency room. So I'm in the emergency room talking to the doctor, telling them what's going on. And they're saying, you know, maybe it's appendicitis.
Right.
So we think it's probably appendicitis.
And how old are you at this point?
48.
Okay.
Yeah. So go get examined. They do the CAT scan. And they say definitely appendicitis. It looks like it's about to be ruptured, about to rupture. So we're gonna remove it.
Right.
So that's a surgery, right? So thinking they're gonna do a laparoscopic procedure. No, that's not why they did it in an open procedure. So it's a deeper cut, a little more invasive, and so that was done. And a week later, when I go back to follow up with the surgeon that performed the procedure, because they have to remove the staples. He sits me down. He's like, "Oh, you know, Mr. Williams, yes, you know, we got to the appendix and got everything out. Everything is fine, and you know, we came across something there and a tumor, and we biopsied it, and yeah, you know, we think you have cancer." That was the delivery, by the way.
Wow.
Okay, so
And what kind of cancer?
so this is a rare form of cancer called appendiceal cancer. So it's basically cancer of the appendix. Now, people have, unfortunately, died from this, you know, this disease, this particular type of cancer. But for the most part, it is highly treatable, even in stage 4.
Is that where you were?
Well, so we'll get to that. So the thing about it is to, you know, once it hasn't metastasized,
Right.
you're in a better position.
And if you don't know, metastasize is when the cancer breaks off
I was
and
just gonna tell
travels
you.
to different parts of your
There
body.
you go. All right, Dr. Gail.
No, not a medical doctor. No, and I don't play one on Instagram.
Okay, so that was the situation. So now we're still in September. This particular hospital, I'm not going to call them out, but this particular hospital says to me, this was so the 15th was my surgery. The 23rd was when I went back for follow-up. And he was saying, let's schedule the surgery for like the following week or two to go in, remove the tumor, and do what's called a hemicholectomy. Now, what a right hemicholectomy is where they remove part of the right side of the colon and reconnect everything. So this way you can have a normal bowel function and so forth, right? Yeah. So...
And they would have to remove the colon because the
reason why because of the tumor, right? Yeah. So they also need to be able to get to the lymph nodes, and unfortunately, medicine has not advanced in a way that they can go in and see this without removing it. Okay. You know, they have to remove it to biopsy it and determine, you know, what's going on. You know, and develop get the pathology report back and so forth and know where things are. So,
and if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Chris Williams, and of course his dad is sitting to my left as well, Clive Williams, and he's telling us about his health challenge and recent health challenge as a young man.
Yes.
And go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. So okay, so now we're in there. We're having this conversation, and I'm concerned because you're saying you're going to go right in after just performing the surgery.
Yeah.
Go right back in, cut me open again, and do this stuff. So, I tell the lady in my life, I tell my friends, I of course tell my parents, and a second opinion is what was suggested. So we get a second opinion, and a second opinion came from one of the top cancer hospitals in New York and probably in the country, Memorial Sloan Kettering.
Right.
So got that second opinion. They're like, no, we're going to wait. Your body needs to heal.
From surgery number one.
Exactly.
Which was 5 days prior.
Yeah, so
you haven't even really woken up from
the, exactly, right?
Being put out the first time.
Exactly. And boy, was I put out. So your body needs to recuperate. So, okay, fine. So he's looking at November for the surgery, right? Unfortunately, my body had other plans. So originally, if I'd stuck with the first hospital, right, I would have been having surgery on October 8th. But guess what? My body is just does what it wants to do, So
like a Williams. You guys are, do what you want to do.
Do what you want to do. So October 8th, your boy is sitting at home doing some work, and on comes the chest pains.
Oh, no.
So having had a heart attack before, I recognized what was going on. And I recognized the serious nature of what was going on. So I got to the hospital quickly, and went back I went to Lenox Hill, which is where that was the hospital that treated me when I had my first heart attack. And they were like, yeah, we're going to have to put in a stent because you're like 90-something% blocked. Okay. So, got stented, and they kept me for a period of, I think I was there for like 4 or 5 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And had to go to cardiac rehab. So now the surgery I was supposed to have to remove the tumor, to perform this right hemicholectomy and so forth, that had to be postponed or delayed rather, because my heart needed so I needed at least 3 months to make sure the heart was fully recovered and back to normal. In the meantime, I'm concerned about what's going on with this cancer, because I'm like, but they're telling me don't worry because it progresses, or the growth it's slow, so chances are I'll be fine. So anyway, I make it through all of this, and fast forward in February, of this year, February 9th to be specific, had this right hemicolectomy performed. And I've got to tell you, if you ever want to see something, if you can stomach it, it's an amazing procedure. So they do it robotically, and it's laparoscopic.
Which means they don't have to cut you open.
Right. Exactly. So there is tiny incisions made. The largest incision was made over my navel, my belly button, and the rest to the left and right. And so a total of 5 incisions made. And it was amazing what they were able to accomplish. So it turns out that the original hospital assessed the size, basically said I had about 2 centimeters of tumor.
Right.
Come to find out, they had left some tumor in, so there was still 3 centimeters there. So in fact, it was 5 centimeters in size.
Gosh.
So they go in, they got the rest of the tumor, found that it had, it was a little bit outside of the area that it should have been in, or that they thought it was in, and so. But they felt confident that they got everything.
So they felt confident that they got all of the cancer out.
Got all of it
the
out.
Tumor out.
The tumor out, right, the tumor out. And then they did this right hemicolectomy, and that was it. I stayed in the hospital for about a week because I have to monitor you, make sure everything is, you're functioning normally. Like the biggest thing, and I'm probably gonna, as people are listening to this, they're like, wait, what? So the biggest,
Like you had part of your colon removed. What do you?
So when every time the doctor comes to see me, they're touching the stomach because they want to make sure there's no redness, there's no
Swelling.
it's swelling, it's not hard, so. And, the doctor goes, so did you pass gas? Did you pass gas? I've never had someone ask me so much about passing gas.
It's like, when did farting become a good thing?
Exactly.
But it means everything's
case,
working.
Yeah, it means everything is working.
It is a good thing.
It is a good thing. And did you and then after the farting, did you make a bowel movement? Did you go to the bathroom? Right. Mm-hmm. Because these things are important, because if you're not doing that, then there's a problem inside, right? So bottom line is, they would not release me until I did those things. So obviously, I'm here. I got
so
released.
You farted and you're here.
All right.
Exactly. I farted and I'm here.
Can I
take it from my father? I'll tell you.
Can I?
Yes.
Can I take you back there?
Yeah.
There's a backstory to this, right?
Okay. What's the backstory?
The backstory might be, where were you on September 11th?
2001. Oh, that's yeah. That's definitely. I was there. I was there. I was. I did get the dusting from the building collapsing.
Yeah.
And
you continued to work.
And I continued to work in that area for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's something that we can't really rule out, right?
Right. I mean, 40-years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah. The propensity of a 40-year-old to get this sick.
I can tell you genetically, there's nothing. In your family history.
Absolutely.
That speaks
kind
to
of
that.
rare cancer.
That's proof that I'm not adopted, folks.
So here you're really telling us a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
But the backstory is also part of that tale, and it has to be balanced.
Yeah.
And so this is cautionary to people who are in your age group, who might have found themselves in that physical environment.
Yeah.
For
at
months.
that time.
Yeah.
What have you done? Did you, while you were there? And I'm talking to you now, folks. Were you in the precinct of Lower Manhattan on September 11, 2001? Are you within?
Or the weeks and months after, not just that day, right?
Not just that day, the weeks and months following.
Yeah.
Like my son was, then you ought to, well, at this point, if you're not on a registry, I don't think it's too late. Right?
No, it's not. It's not. You definitely should do the World Trade Center Health Registry if you haven't already done it. I advise it. For me, I did it many years ago, due to, of course, you and Mom strongly recommending that I do it.
Yeah.
And
you probably wouldn't have done it otherwise.
Yeah.
You're like 20 and 30 and you're like, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm good.
I took a shower. I got it off of me. I'm good.
Exactly.
Right?
And they, I didn't have asthma prior to that. I didn't have any upper respiratory issues. And unfortunately, I developed those things as a result of that.
And so there was a cascading.
Yeah, there was.
And again, is that in your family? Is that in your family?
No.
But that's definitely something. That's another show, right?
Right.
But what I wanted to get to and to just follow up with the conversation earlier, that with regards to where I am now, is part of the reason why I'm here, or the big reason I'm here on this show to talk about my situation, is because there's so many other men, particularly black men. And I'm speaking to black men now because that's who I am. That's what I represent. And that's who I see, out there in terms of, unfortunately, being at a disadvantage.
Right.
We need to pay closer attention to our health, right?
And we're not just talking about people who are 9/11 people. We're talking about black men in general.
In general,
right?
Exactly. So I'm talking about getting a colonoscopy. The fortunate thing for me is, I had been in my 40s, at the age of 42 actually, or 41, I got my first colonoscopy.
So you had a baseline.
Yeah. So I was getting colonoscopies, seeing a specialist. If you've never, if you're 40, even if you're 30, I don't really subscribe to this situation or this idea that because you're 50 now, that's the time you should go see a cardiologist. You don't need to see one before. I think if you're working, and especially you're working in a stressful environment, I think if you know you eat certain foods, I think if you know, you're overweight, but weight is not even an issue. If you could be slim and still have a heart issue,
Absolutely.
right?
Correct.
So,
Or have high cholesterol,
high
or high blood
cholesterol,
pressure.
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, if you know these things, I think you should see a cardiologist. You should know your blood. You should know. You should have regular.
Meaning your blood type.
Your blood type.
Yeah.
You should know your blood, understanding
blood
your
type?
cholesterol levels.
What's your blood
I'm
type?
B. I'm B.
Okay, what's your blood? B what?
B positive.
And what's yours,
Yeah.
sir?
ORH positive.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. I'm AB neg, in
All
case
right,
you're wondering.
all right, cool. so you should understand, what your cholesterol levels are, what's good, what's bad. You should understand your glucose levels. Know if you're diabetic, or as they say, pre-diabetic.
Pre-diabetic.
You should know all these things. You should know how your kidneys are functioning.
Yes.
You should know your liver functions. All those things are critical, and going to the doctor regularly helps you to know and understand these things.
And let me tell
Yeah.
you, here's a. Let's pause here and talk about a big flaw in the whole practice of medicine. For those who know me well, know that I'm a counselor, and so my discipline is different. But I happen to know my colleagues very well, and I happen to also see a primary physician.
Right.
And part of the problem is that we're not encouraged to have that assessment done as black folks. And I want to emphasize that. So you've got to ask for it.
Right.
You don't wait on your doctor to suggest that you go get a particular test or a battery of tests.
I will go further. You've got to demand it.
Yeah.
You've got to
Take
Exactly. Yeah.
agency
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
your health.
Yeah.
You have to take agency over it
So-
as people of color.
Yeah. The reason why I emphasize demanding is because the story with me isn't finished, right?
Right.
So I have my right hemicolectomy. I get home. I was discharged on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And on February 23rd, I was back in the hospital with another coronary event. I don't know what it is they're not seeing. I don't know why we're getting to this point that they're not realizing that if I was there in October and there was some serious stuff going on with my coronary arteries where there was blockage, a significant blockage, then why don't you just do a stent? Why don't you do everything all at once? I'll get to the bottom of it. I'm actually seeing someone else to deal with that.
Yeah.
But the fact remains that had I not been insistent on what's going on, the fact that I was experiencing chest pains on exertion, any sudden like movements,
Right.
Even though the chest pains weren't around when I was resting. Okay, so if I'm just sitting here like I am talking to you now, no chest pains. But when I started movement, and if I started trying to walk just half a block, or if I did a quick step up a flight of stairs, out of breath, serious chest pains, feeling like somebody's sitting on me. Did an angiogram and was insistent on that, got it. 90 to 95% blocked, and they had to do another stent.
Amazing.
And
And that's because you advocated for yourself.
Exactly. And so I cannot stress enough the importance of us listening to our bodies, and that goes for everybody. Obviously, what I'm talking about something I'm doing for black men, but it goes for everybody. You need to listen to your body.
You know your body
You
best.
know your body.
So when you go to the doctor and the doctor says, I don't think it's anything, but you know that
Exactly.
that you're having whatever those symptoms are,
Right.
shortness of breath.
Express it.
Express it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Chris. So you're going through this
Yes.
very challenging time in your life.
Yes.
So what gives you the motivation? What gives you a reason even to think about other people?
I mean, it's, I guess, how you guys raised me, right? I mean, I'm
Blame it on your parents.
Blame it on my parents. I mean, so here's the thing. I think my friends and the people who know me know my heart, and so, by no means, I've obviously, like everybody else, I've made tons of mistakes along the way in this thing we call life, right? Yeah. But I just, for me, I feel like I'm here to be of service, right? Yeah. And specifically, I feel I'm here to be of service to my people, to Black people.
Mm-hmm. To Black men and to Black people.
Yeah. But I just feel like I have a responsibility. I've always felt that way. I feel I probably didn't embrace it as much when I was younger, but for the most part, I think I was very active in doing in certain things and vocal about my opinions on certain things. And in this particular case, seeing what I saw within myself, and then having friends experiencing some of similar issues, serious health issues, I realized what was happening. There was no conversation being had. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a bunch of Black men who have started groups to have conversations about mental health and about health in general, and they're doing the work. I heard recently about an organization called Black Health in Atlanta that's doing some work, and so there are organizations and community leaders and activists that are vocalizing this, but I still think there's more that can be done to get the message out. And if I can just be an additional broadcaster, a voice for that message, I'm going to do it. I don't feel like there can be too many people, because we need more people to say it so that we will eventually get the message. Black men need to start having more open and honest conversations about their health and not be hesitant, not be fearful, not worry about who's going to judge them, who's going to see them as weak. The weakest thing you can do is not be honest about who you are. Okay? I want you to hear me clearly. The weakest thing is to not be honest about who you are. It's not, you know what I'm saying, I'm a man, you know what I mean? Like, we tough, you know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna shake that off. Nah.
You can't shake off cancer.
You can't shake it off.
I want you to repeat that. The weakest thing?
The weakest thing you can do is to not be honest about who you are.
On that note, I want to go to a break. Folks, thank you for joining us. You're with us on Conversations with Clive Williams. I'm talking to my son, Christopher Williams. Gail is with us, and Professor Gail. We will be right back after this short break. In the meantime, call a friend and tell them to tune in, ourworldmedia.com, wgjsradio.com. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a taste of the South? Well, honey, come on down to Carolyn's. We have fried chicken, catfish, whiting, barbecue beef ribs, mac and cheese, and some collard greens, freshly made desserts, and much, much more. We're located at 2564 Hempstead Turnpike in East Meadow. Order online at carolyns.kitchen and receive 5% off your first order.
Ever hear the one about the frog? Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's a lie. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
real-world experience.
It's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. And some days, maybe, it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Reaching out is hard. Do it anyway. You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Get it slippy, coffee check. Talk to doctor now and share it. Get it slippy. Get it? Slip it? Cuff it? Check it. High blood pressure silently affects millions of Americans. Staying on top of your blood pressure is as simple as these 4 easy steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit manageyourbp.org to learn more.
What do we do?
You may not be able to plan ahead for a ghost encounter.
Under the dining table now!
But you can plan ahead for natural disasters. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts.
Maybe it's the apocalypse.
Know your evacuation routes and decide on a safe emergency meeting location.
Here? I know. Would have picked Orlando.
Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. So pass the Proton Pack to the next generation and visit ready.gov/plan to get started.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Let 211 be your guiding light for mental health and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org.
Hey, you're back with Conversations with Clive Williams, and particularly poignant program for me. I really touched by this man's courage, his honesty, really. And, you know, the fact that you're willing to do this. I asked you, you sure you want to do this? And you said yes. And, you know, we talk about honesty, but the authenticity that gives one is so powerful that I think anybody within the sound of the range of your voice, my voice, Gail's voice, ought to be at least impressed with the fact that there are those amongst us who are willing to sacrifice personal pride, you know, to come out and say, look, this situation exists, let's deal with it. And I think this is part of the black opportunity here now. You know, we're living in a time that we're still in COVID, but we're emerging slowly from that depressing period of our lives. And we ought to start preparing ourselves for a new reality. And the only way we can do that is being true to ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know, one of my favorite philosophers said, "Thy man, know thyself." And I live by that. Mm-hmm. And, you know, clearly, my friend, you're practicing, you're walking the walk.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You know, and I'm really, really very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So we're back with Christopher Williams. Mm-hmm. And in the first half of the show, he told us about his health challenges in his 40s, cancer, heart problems, et cetera, et cetera. And as a man of color, he has taken all of these terrible experiences. I can't even fathom having all of this happen in you know, when you're so young and in the prime of your life. But you've taken all this bad, you've taken all of these challenges, you've taken all of this crazy, all of this, and instead of hiding it, or instead of just, you know, I always say, dig a hole, put it in there, pave it over, and build a Home Depot and forget about it. That's usually the way I think about things. But instead of doing that, you have not only brought it to the forefront on shows like ours today, but you're doing something else. Tell us about Heart, Body, and Soul.
So, you know, out of all of this, right, I realized, like I said, there were, besides me, there were tons of other men, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of other men who were experiencing these issues, health-related issues. But there's nobody to talk to, right? Or they believe there's nobody to talk to. So they're not. There are resources. There are resources.
But we don't talk about them.
Right, we don't talk about them. We believe there is this mindset that, you know, you got to suffer in silence. You're a man. You got to toughen up.
Exactly. There's a machismo.
You know? Yeah. Just toughen up. Shake it off. Come on. You know, just push through it. You know, what are you talking about? You got a little pain. Just shake it off. right? But that's not real, and that's not true. It's a lie, okay? A blatant lie. Again, I spoke about what true weakness is, all right? So strength is knowing that you have something happening and doing something about it. And in doing something about it, being honest with others that, listen, this is what's happening with me. I am going through a serious situation, whether it be mental or physical. Mm-hmm. I need help. I cannot do this by myself. Mm-hmm. I am asking you to help me. I'm asking you to be there for me. And it's having faith that those people that you need to be there will be there. Mm-hmm. Now, the issue is how we live our lives, right?
Right.
We've got to be mindful about how we live our lives, because when the stuff starts rolling downhill,
yeah. You need a team.
Yeah.
So, you need a tribe.
My parents have always told me, about sowing seeds. You reap what you sow, right? Thankfully, in spite of mistakes I've made along the way, and the what's the word, kerfluffle, but yeah, my kerfluffles. In spite of all those mistakes and challenges and so forth, I've been able to cement some really solid relationships, mm-hmm. and those relationships that I've built over the years is what has allowed me to be here today, aside from my family, or rather in addition to my family, because my family's always been there, mm-hmm. right? But now I have a tribe of mm-hmm. friends who, will run me to the doctor and pick me up from the doctor, yeah. drop off food. Like my first day out of the hospital, one of my friends, shout out to Debbie, who made sure that I had one of my favorite plant-based burgers from one of the best plant-based restaurants in Brooklyn, Aunts and Uncles.
That's the name of it?
Aunts and Uncles, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a Black-owned, Caribbean-owned spot in Brooklyn.
That's the one you promised to take me
to.
Yeah,
I got you. I got you, son.
I'm left out of this, but okay.
No. I got you too, Gail. Come on. You're part of the family.
I guess I'll be driving through McDonald's.
No McDonald's. Okay. No McDonald's. We bonafide upon McDonald's. We know you're not able. Bonafide the Rastamans. But seriously, the bottom line is, we've got to make sure that we're living the right way, mm-hmm. right? Because there is support here for you in spite of what you're going through. So I decided that no matter what I'm going through, my attitude to it would be one of conquering, right? Mm-hmm. One of winning, mm-hmm. Because
True Williams.
Well, part of that goes back to the way I was raised, right? Mm-hmm. My father always told me about visualization, always told me about setting goals, always told me about manifest destiny. So mm-hmm. it's like these are things that I knew from an early age. Mm-hmm. So I was fortunate to have that in my life, right? For those who were not, the good thing is we have the internet. Mm-hmm. And so we can learn, sure. So we need to learn, we need to open our minds up to the possibilities and understand that part of dis-ease, mm-hmm. that feeling of discomfort and so forth, your attitude, how you face that mm-hmm. is what's going to make it possible for you to conquer it. Now, of course, there'll be the people who will try to debunk that and say, "Oh no, you've got to be on medication and you've got to do this and you've got to do that." Listen,
we're not doctors here.
Yeah, we're not. But I'm saying this. Yes, there's a medical component that ties into all of this. But in addition to that, if my attitude were defeatist, if my attitude was one of this thing is going to kill me, mm-hmm. then it would.
There's a high probability that you would not be sitting here today.
Yes, exactly, mm-hmm. exactly. Because remember, heart issues. Part of what leads to that is stress. It's not just the plaque buildup in the coronary arteries, but there's also stress. So I know there's something else in my body that needs to be corrected. I know there are other issues that need to be addressed. And because of that, I sought the help of another specialist. In addition to my cardiologist, there's someone else I'm seeing who has a great deal of research and experience and understanding how to reverse coronary artery
A
disease.
somewhat different perspective
Exactly.
from the traditional.
Exactly. And so we have to do the needful, right? And do the research and
due diligence,
do the
yes.
due diligence to try to find solutions to the issues that we face.
And you're going to help do that with Heart, Body, and Soul.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I know Gail keeps bringing me back there. Thank you, Gail.
I don't want to run out of time. I want to talk about it.
I know. So Heart, Body, and Soul is an idea I came up with to create a platform for Black men to talk about their health, right? I want to encourage Black men to start having more open and honest conversations about their health. And so Heart, Body, and Soul, the Black Men's Health Festival, is an opportunity for us to celebrate Black men and also, get Black men to open up, to have these conversations, to ask the questions that will teach them the directions they should be going in. All right. So we'll have doctors, we'll have other healthcare providers. We will have an environment.
And this is going to take place in June.
In June, for the entire month of June. So June is Men's Health Month. So the reason I started in June is because of that. So from essentially June 4th, we'll have our kickoff event at Restoration Plaza. And shout outs to the folks at Restoration Plaza who
and that's in Brooklyn.
That's in Brooklyn. That's
not
in Brooklyn.
local.
In Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, which is where I currently hail from. So now the thing about it is we're kicking off with a ride for Black Men's Health, a cycle ride. From pretty much from Restoration Plaza to Prospect Park and back. And then we'll have a day filled with activities for men to talk to some of these healthcare providers and these practitioners, whether it be holistic or otherwise, to really and understanding that there is not just the physical component, but the mental component.
So
right?
it's a bike ride, and then there's vendors and also screenings available.
Absolutely.
And then that's on the 4th of June.
4th. And then throughout the month of June, every Saturday throughout the month of June, there'll be other events. So we'll keep
Brooklyn.
around Brooklyn, and we'll keep you guys posted. So the website is being built right now, which is hbsproject.com, and we'll be launching that shortly.
And they can also follow you on IG.
But follow me at Chris Factor on IG.
Factor,
yeah, for more updates, because that's where I'll be updating everyone. So on IG, Chris Factor, ChrisFactor. And I'll be updating you guys on what's happening. But I cannot drive the message home enough about starting to have the conversation. All right, there's no shame.
The first event is the bike ride.
The first event is the bike ride.
And then there's 3 other events. Can you tell us?
I'll tell you a little bit. So I can tell you that some of the people that are involved and will be joining me, currently Hip Hop Closet. Hip Hop Closet is, for those of you who, if you're like me, you like the Shirlings, you like you like a nice fur coat, or you like a dope Biggie sweater or whatever. I mean, Hip Hop Closet has it all: t-shirts, sweaters, really great jackets. I mean, coats. You definitely want to check them out. And shout outs to Kaisha and the team over at Hip Hop Closet. And then, some other people who will be joining me: Brooklyn Tea, Greedy Kitchen, Aunts and Uncles, Lips Cafe. A lot of great Black-owned businesses will be part of what we're doing. Not to mention local politicians who will be joining in on and supporting what we do. So, the entire month of June, every Saturday in the month of June, we'll have something. Oh, and I forget Happy Buds, which is a great CBD wellness center in Brooklyn. Just follow me at Chris Factor on Instagram, and you'll hear me announcing a lot more. But I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be here to talk about this,
And you'll have a segment where you can ask a doctor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can bring your questions to the experts.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
How do we really broaden and deepen this conversation, though? Because, there have been health fairs. There are health fairs. Yeah. But I get the feeling that you want to go much deeper with this.
So yeah, the reason, and of course, I definitely want to go deeper. So like I said, there are nonprofits that are doing phenomenal work.
Absolutely. There are health fairs,
Right.
and there are outreach,
Absolutely.
and there are all of these things going on. And this is not about what other people aren't doing, because
Right.
people are doing amazing
work.
things.
Right. So the key is one of the things that Heart, Body, and Soul wants to be able to do is to provide, partner with some of these nonprofits who are doing the phenomenal work, and make sure that people know all the resources that are in the community. But the other part that's important is identifying people that look like us that are providing these services. Because a lot of what, unfortunately, we face when we go into the people that don't look like us is a lack of understanding of culture, you know, kind of where you're from, how you do things.
Even little things like, you know, how do you not know your parents' medical history or your grandparents' medical history? Explaining to a doctor who's not of Caribbean culture or
Right.
or not a person of color, that back in the day you didn't see a doctor.
Right.
You know, back home there wasn't, you know,
There may have been no records or
barcodes
whatever.
and
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
there aren't
exactly.
triplicates of your records. Who knows if grandma had cancer? Who knows if mom had cancer?
Or had heart disease or anything of the sort.
So explaining to that in Western medicine is a challenge. That's why we need more people like us
Exactly.
in the medical field.
But they exist. There are people that are out there. So part of what we're doing is, and there's an emphasis on bringing those people to the forefront. So people will be able to go on the website, identify some of these resources, the ophthalmologist that's black, the cardiologist that's black, the dermatologist that's black, the dentist that's black, the psychologist or psychotherapist that's black. You know, all those things, and they exist. You know, the nurse practitioner that can see you, okay, in lieu of a doctor, can see you and treat you. That's black. So those are the things that we're also doing, is making sure that you have that environment where you can feel comfortable to have these conversations, creating that space where you can feel comfortable to have these conversations. And you know, listen, I'm Christopher Williams, all right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, for people who know, people who know me know what I mean when I make that statement. Like, I like to do things differently, right? And it's not, again, I don't do anything to take away, but just to add on to what's already been done. And so whenever whatever spin I put on it, the whole thing is, I want to give people the opportunity to have these conversations, and I want to make them feel comfortable. So I'm going to do everything possible, and I will not rest until I do everything possible to make sure that we start having these conversations. Our lives depend on it.
You know, it's amazing that what's missing, and as we talk about the various agencies, people who are doing great work,
right?
What's even more significant is what I call authentic advocacy. Someone who has experienced it,
right?
Someone who has risen from it by dealing with it, and is able to vocalize and articulate exactly what they went through,
and then use that experience to help others.
To help others. And you know, you remind me a lot of my friend who is no longer with us, Winston Dyer.
Yes, I remember.
You know, and I have to call Winston's name, because when you talk about authentic advocacy,
absolutely,
that guy in the area of
prostate cancer.
More men are now aware of prostate cancer because of Winston Dyer. You know, and he suffered with that disease for years, and he had no shame. He, you know, Winston was the typical macho man back in the day. And he came out to his friends, which is the hardest thing to do. And said, guys, I have this affliction, you know, and I'm going to fight it, and I'm going to deal with it. And fight it he did. And he went on to live a good life. You know, so I'm saying that authenticity is what differentiates what you're doing, Chris.
Thank you.
And for that, you know, we will do whatever we can to support your cause. And I look forward to June 4th.
Yep.
The beginning
Thank
of
you,
that.
thank you, thank you.
And you know I ride, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll be
you're
there.
a writer, so
Me too.
I'm gonna, and you too, Gail. So I used to ride when I was younger, right?
Mm-hmm.
But admittedly, I haven't done so recently. So it's something I'm gonna see if I can join everyone on the ride. But if not, I'll walk.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out, right?
And also you're organizing, so it might be hard for you to ride that
I know,
tape.
I know. But I still want to.
Yeah,
see.
but I have a tricycle.
Oh, you have a tricycle. Thank you. You got jokes.
Do you have some training wheels for him?
Training.
Wait, did he get them off? Okay. Yeah.
All right, we need a drum roll. But
He
seriously,
should have his own show. Oh wait, he does.
He does. Yeah. Man, listen. I really, there was something else that I wanted to point out, and it's people will see me, right, and we have this thing, but you don't look like you're sick. You look good, man.
Looking at you today, you would never know.
You look strong. Nothing wrong with you.
Right.
We're not supposed to look like we're sick, okay?
By the time you look like you're sick,
yeah. And let me also be frank. I mean, there are days where my energy is very low. All right, so I'm not always this jovial and bubbly
and ebullient.
And ebullience,
Oh,
yes.
that's my word.
SATs, I'm telling you.
word.
But for the most part, I am. My spirits are good, and I do what's necessary to make sure that I'm good. Right. I talk to myself. I cannot stress the importance
Of
Good self-talk.
Good
self-talk.
self-talk.
You would never talk to other people the way
Right.
most people talk to themselves.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. You would never talk to other
Yeah.
people the way most of us talk to ourselves. So
yeah.
don't do it to yourself.
Yeah, we have to talk to ourselves with love. So you get up, you have the talk, whether it's, if something ails you, talk through it and talk to yourself and heal, lay your hands on yourself if you can.
Absolutely.
And so, there are days where I'm not 100%. There are days I'm not so good. There are days, and my dad will call me and he might hear it in my voice, or somebody will call me and hear it. It's the reality of it is I do everything possible to ensure that my energy is up. I do everything possible to feed my soul with positive energy.
Right.
Whatever I take in through my sight, auditory, just food, everything, it's feeding me in a positive way. And whenever food is also a big part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I deviate, and I go and eat something I'm not supposed to eat, my body tells me.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that, we listen to all these things. We listen to our bodies, we pay attention to ourselves, and, the importance of self-care and self-love. Don't worry about saying you love somebody and you don't love yourself.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing selfish about putting yourself first, both your mental and physical health first. Because otherwise, where are you going to be?
Yeah. Love yourself enough to make the doctor's appointments.
Yeah.
Aren't you both just sick and tired of the story where, you hear the guy, and it's inevitably a black man who, he's got stage 4, fill in the blank with whatever. Aren't and he's 50 and he's 40 and he's 45. Aren't you sick of that story?
Yeah.
And by the time anyone comes out with it, it's because they are literally dying and they just want to see people before they go.
Yeah.
Let's put an end to that.
Yeah.
Doctor, one of the most influential books I've read, tiny book, called The Relaxation Response by Dr. Herbert Benson. Read that book when I might have just entered in my 20s. Living in Jamaica. Motivated, fired up by this book. It spoke about one of the issues it addresses is the high rate of stress in black communities, especially among black men. And you get these statistics, from National Institutes of Health, wherever, that talks about the pathology in black communities with hypertension. And what Dr. Benson said in the relaxation response is that it is that way because of stress. It is that way because black men, particularly, are in the inner cities feeling bounded.
Right. Stress.
By concrete and stress. And that feeling of no way out, no opportunity, nobody dealing with your concerns, your issues, you're marginalized. That causes a tremendous amount of stress. And consequently, hypertension.
Yeah. All of the
diabetes,
trappings of stress.
All the trappings of stress.
Physical
So,
manifestations.
Yeah. So it's not that black people are more predisposed to disease.
No.
It's that black people are subject to a different level of stress. And
Over a longer period of
For a
time.
longer period of time, and without the prevailing antidotes, without the prevailing answers for these problems.
And don't get me started about the food deserts.
Yeah, and food is, yeah.
You know, there's
Fast
food on every corner. I could get a chicken wing for the next 15 blocks
and the
in the
liquor
neighborhood.
stores
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah.
And when I say a chicken wing, I mean a fried one. I can get a fried chicken wing on any single corner in the neighborhood,
figure,
but I can't find a salad.
So figure an educated, accomplished black man having a challenge. Now think of the man who is not as educated, who is not as accomplished, what his outcomes are going to be like. And that's what we're advocating for.
Or someone without a tribe.
Someone without a tribe.
Yeah.
So we've got to lift that person. That
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely.
And you know, women have always sort of spoken enviously of men being able to converse with each other and talk to each other and has this camaraderie among men. What they don't know, what you don't know, ladies, is that this camaraderie does not, it does not include us talking about what ails us.
No. A man.
It does not translate to
Perfect example of that. A man is not going to talk to another man about him having erectile dysfunction.
There you go.
Your prostate.
Something that carries in his mind so much shame.
And shame.
Especially in Caribbean communities.
That they're not going to discuss it, right? So now with that erectile dysfunction now comes an added stress, right? So now you have high blood pressure. Now you have something else, and you have something else, and then you're taking a pill that's adding another layer of stress and problems.
Or you're not taking that pill because you're afraid of the erectile dysfunction.
Yeah,
which
so you
is
don't go to the doctor to find out what else could be going on, what you can do.
Yeah, it's just a
And,
cycle.
you know, because we have this platform, we're about to wrap, but because we have this platform, I'd be remiss if I don't mention this. One of the things that Winston Dass stressed emphatically, and I stress it too, is that all men should get a digital rectal exam by his doctor, by his primary care, and then by his urologist.
Right.
The problem is that most black men, and I'm talking about black people, this is where my concern is, thinks that this is invasive. They think that somehow this translates to them being some other sex.
It
translates to a superstitious belief that this is somehow invading their most private part. Guys, get with the program. The only way the doctor is going to know the state of your prostate, which is a gland that grows larger and larger most times as we grow older. The only way he's going to know is when he
or she
examines that rectally, feels that prostate, the shape of that little organ there, and determines whether something is going wrong or not. So please get over yourselves. Get over yourselves, and begin. As
just open your mind. Open your mind.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough opening your mind. Fear is normal. Okay, we're gonna have fear, right? But
let me tell you, when I told my friends that I was going to have hip replacement surgery, the fear that I could see. One person asked me, have you ever seen that procedure on YouTube? I says, no, and I don't care to. I realize that
It's invasive.
I've been an athlete most of my life, which you know, and at sometimes something's going to give. If it's not my knee, it's my hip or something.
Right.
My hip gave. And so when the specialist told me, he says, you know, you're bone on bone on the hip. You want to take a couple of months to think it over? I says, think over what? He says, you know, the
Basically
only thing
live
is
in
a
pain for a couple more
replacement.
months.
I says,
Yeah.
I don't like pain. So let's do that now. The guy looked at me like I says, let's do it now. So the outcome is that I decided that, I said to him, I says, look, man, make sure when you're done, I can still dance and prance and do what I have to do. All right, I give up the running,
Right.
but I'm not giving up anything else.
Right.
And you know the rest of the story.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is what your attitude is what drives everything.
Yeah.
Like you, there were days that the pain kicked in, and I, you know, kind of said, should I go for the painkiller? And it says no.
Yeah.
Let's
it.
not tough it out, but let's see what my body can do.
Right.
I'm always saying, let me see what my body is a medicine
Yeah,
cabinet. You know, let's see what it can do.
Yeah.
And the body does its thing. Some ice is great.
Mm-hmm.
Ice and warmth is great. But you know, that's my story. I'm getting there where I like to tell stories. But Chris, let me tell you, man, I love you, admire you,
Love
and I
you too,
thank
man.
you for having the courage to come on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are
Thanks for having me.
you are an incredible human being, and you're an example not just to me, but to everyone who sees and knows you. I thank you very much.
Thank you. I didn't pay my father to say that, by the way.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hey guys, thank you so very much for joining us. It's Conversations with Clive Williams. We're going to catch you, if not next week, the week after. We'll inform you. Gail, Professor Gail.
Can I say, Heart, Body, and Soul, the Black Man's Health Festival, June of 2022. Follow Chris Factor, on IG for more information.
Yeah, that'll be it.
Thank you.
My friend, my
Thank
son,
you.
take
Thank
it
you.
easy. Be well. Be
Thank
strong.
Have a great
Take
week,
care.
everyone. Good night.
Catch up with you. Take
Bye.
care.
That's it, y'all.